Okay, so this isn't like the real intro, but this is like actually the real intro. This is not the aesthetic intro. So I am, like I said in the intro, trying to read NetGalley books. I got so behind because of my health reasons. I don't need to go over them for the 1000th time. I'm just not having a great time. But I haven't been reading. I haven't been doing anything. So I got super behind on my NetGalley stuff. And I request very early on for NetGalley. I haven't requested anything in like 3 months. 2 or 3 months. I think. I could have requested something here or there, but I'm pretty sure it's been 2 or 3 months since I've requested anything. So I am so behind. And most of these, yeah, October. So October is actually when I was injured. So you can tell because the pub dates, only one is from before that. And it's because I really thought I was going to be caught up on, I thought it was a different series. Okay, let me show you my NetGalley and I'll explain what's going on. Okay, so here are all of my NetGalley books. You can tell it has gotten out of control because of just a myriad of problems. Okay, so you can see the Scarlet Veil, September. It's because I thought this was, I did not do enough research on this one. I'm trying to work with this one. This is a continuation of the Serpent and Dove series, and I did not know that when I requested it, so that was my fault. So I'm really trying to get to that one. So basically starting in October, I was injured the first week of October, and you can tell I didn't request anything for November. And mostly everything that I requested through February, I requested before October. Or the published date. The published date, anything after October, I basically requested before October. So that's why I'm so behind. And then I started feeling better-ish in February, January. And so I started requesting stuff again while I was starting to read my backlist. And I got like thumbs up for like all of them. And so I've been trying to get through them and it was just too much. It was too much. I did a dumb and I was not responsible with my NetGalley, but I have like an entire 2 weeks to myself because, well, actually, no. I have this week, well, actually like 4 days where I'm alone at home with my dog because my husband is at our new living location while he works because his new work has started. But he's coming, or I'm driving up there Thursday, and then I'm kind of just hanging out and we're shopping for houses. So I'm gonna have a ton of spare time, and that means catching up on YouTube because I'm also way behind on watching YouTube videos, and I'm super behind on reading. So I think my project is to basically catch up with ARCs minus the Scarlet Veil. So I have When Ghosts Call Us Home, Starling House, Fragile Enchantment, Only If You're Lucky, The House of Last Resort, The Invocations, ASAP, An Education in Malice, What Monstrous Gods, The Inmate, The Haunting of Belkwood. This one I'm not as about. It's just a sample. It's not the actual full book. A Botanical Daughter. So I'm really focusing on up to this one to try to finish. And I'm sorry, the camera is so shaky. AKA my phone is so shaky. So that's a lot. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 books. That is 12 books. I don't think I'm going to get through like that many in this video. There could be a lot of DNFs. I do DNF ARCs. And I stand by that decision. I know a lot of people, it's a controversial take, but a DNF is still a review as long as you write an actual review for it. Like, why did you DNF it? At what point did you DNF it? What you liked about it, what you didn't like about it, what could have changed and you wouldn't have DNF'd it, stuff like that. So still like give an actual review. But because the star system, this is what I learned on NetGalley, the star system is actually like, how likely are you to give it to somebody else? So or recommend it to somebody else. So like Small Gods of Calamity, I DNF, but I gave it a 3-star on NetGalley. And the ones that I DNF, I don't transfer over to Goodreads unless I really hate them. Otherwise, if I'm neutral, I don't put them on Goodreads. because it doesn't feel like a full fair thing for an ARC copy, I guess. So yeah, Small Gods of Calamity, I still gave like a 3-star on NetGalley because I would recommend it to specific readers. It just wasn't like my reading style. So I think I'm gonna start with Starling House. I have that on my, that's the other problem. There's a lot of these that have been archived. So like I can't access a lot of these. I have to get them either through my library or go buy them or something. So that's gonna be fun. So When Ghosts Call Us Home, archived in November. Starling House has been archived. I think all of these, oh, ASAP has not been archived. And I do have some of them that are still saved like places. So I'm okay on those. But most of these have been archived. So this is going to be really fun, and it's my fault. Like, obviously it's my fault that they've been archived. So I really want to get through these so I can basically like actually read them as ARCs. So I really hate that my health caused so many problems because I hate leaving ARCs not read. Like, it really bugs me. But I am going to try to get through a bunch of these and hope for the best. So I believe I am going to start with Starling House. Hello from my temporary house. This is very weird. It's very, very weird. The lighting is terrible. So the thing about this house, the thing about this temporary house, it's nice, but it's very old and it really hasn't been updated. So the outlet situation is weird. Like, the outlets sometimes are in really good places. Like, the living room is okay, but they're like, how it's set up is they're really far away. And I don't have extension cords. I don't have anything like that. And I don't have my computer, as I've said. Hopefully I will have that in the next 2 weeks. Because originally I was gonna have our realtor go grab it and then mail it. But there's so many like things on that computer that if that gets lost in the mail, no. I'd rather just like wait until we go back for like inspection stuff and stuff like that, and grab it then mail it because that gives me so much anxiety. So anyway, yeah, I've got an update for my ARC blog. I have read 3 books. And we're gonna go just one by one. It's gonna be super quick reviews. I'm not gonna go super in depth with them. This is just to clear out my NetGalley because it got out of hand literally since I was sick. Like, oof, or got hurt. It's, I don't know what to call it. But ever since the foot thing started and then my back, I've gotten just so behind on reading. So basically since October, I've just gotten so behind on things. Oh, so I was like, it's time. It's time to go through and read these books. I was sent them for the purposes of reading them. I really need to read them. So I really do want to read all my NetGalleys up through April. There was a lot. There's a lot. The only one I'm not going to be getting to is the Scarlet Veil because I haven't read the other series. I feel like I've brought this up in the intro kind of. I don't know if I actually did an intro. I'm all over the place. I don't know what I filmed because it's been a really long time since I filmed. So we are going to discuss the 3 books that I read. I actually DNF'd one of them. Which was really sad. But I did read 2 of the 3. So let's start with Starling House. Starling House is one of those that I was like super excited to read. It's everything that I thought I would love in a book. It's gothic, it's dark, there's romance in it, there's like haunted house things going on. I gave it a 3-star. I'm really surprised. I'm really surprised, to be honest. I also didn't know that it was a Beauty and the Beast retelling. Like, was that, like, it seems intentional, but I didn't know somehow. Like, because I started reading it and I'm like, this feels very, like, Beauty and the Beast, like, things that are going on. And so I looked online and it was like, yeah, Beauty and the Beast, dark retelling. And I was like, could have done without it, to be honest. Like, yeah. The thing that was so... I'm trying to think of the way to describe my feelings about this book. I feel like I didn't want a romance, which is like, that is never who I am. I always want romance in a book. I really, and it had nothing to do with looks, nothing to do with that, because I did like the fact that they were like not super pretty people. I thought that was very cool that was not a thing in this. But I didn't really care about the romance. I don't think it was developed enough for how short the book is, because this is a rather short fantasy book. And I wanted other things to be put in there instead of the romance. Like, kind of how I wanted the plot to be was that we had our main character, and it's been a while since I read it, so I can't remember what her name is, but we had our main character. And I really wish that it was just about, like, her in the house. I wanted the house to be more of a main character than it was. Like, I liked, see, and I didn't even really like the dual POV. Like, they had the Beast's point of view in it, but I just didn't, it was fine. It was like, his point of view was fine, but I really just didn't want him in the book. Like, I feel like that's what it comes down to, is I just didn't want him in the book. And I really wanted it to be about her, like, finding this old, forgotten, mismanaged house and bringing it kind of back to life and fighting for it. And that's kind of what I wanted the story to be about. And instead it turned more into, like, there was a little hints of that, and those are the parts that I really liked, but it turned into more of a romance between the two of them and us kind of almost forgetting about the house a little bit. Like, I feel like it should have been named something else, because to me it wasn't, it started off about the house and it became about the romance, and I didn't want that. I wanted it to start and end with being about the house. If that wasn't the case and it felt more like a romance, I felt kind of left down on that. So that's why I kind of got a 3. So next, I attempted to read When Ghosts Call Us Home. Man, this one was a bummer. So this one I actually DNF'd 50% into the book. Like, normally if I get 50% into a book, I'm probably finishing it. But I did not want to read a single more page. Like, the book took a turn that I absolutely did not like. So this is following our main character. I feel like everyone heard about the Starling House, so I didn't feel like I needed to say much about it. But this is definitely more of like a super small release. There's only like 400 something reviews, which made me feel even worse. There's only like 400 something reviews on Goodreads. When Ghosts Call Us Home is following our main character whose sister has disappeared. And it turns out that her and her sister are, well, her sister's the director and she's the star of this like cult phenomenon found footage movie from when they were younger. And they were staying in this like quote unquote haunted house when they were kids. And her older sister decided she wanted to make a movie about it. And she set up all these stunts, and her sister was the main character. And there's like tons of forums and stuff about what is real, what's fake, what was set up, what the director was doing, that kind of stuff. So our main character decides she wants to go back to the house to see if she can figure out something going on with her sister, because that is the only clue that she has. And the only way she can go back into the house is to agree to become part of this like documentary crew who has gotten permission and has paid to go into the house to film like a reenactment and re-talk about the original film kind of thing. And so she signs on to it just so that she can like snoop around and see about her sister, which sounds so cool. It sounds so cool, and it was cool. It was really interesting how it was told. I didn't love the writing style. It felt almost found footage style in the way it was written as well, which doesn't work as well in writing. It's really hard to explain the writing. The writing was nothing like I've read before. I got used to it over a little bit, but the problem is it took this weird turn. Like, I just wanted like the haunted house and continuing with the found footage film and that kind of stuff, maybe doing like talk about the past, about things that happened then. It felt very Head Full of Ghosts. It felt very like young adult Head Full of Ghosts at first, but where Head Full of Ghosts like continued with the haunted story, this took a weird turn where it started talking about like the path. And most of the story ended up being about this like group of people online who have gotten a sign, and they're started along this path, and our main character thinks her sister got lost along this path, and it turned like in-depth supernatural to the point where it was kind of like, this isn't as fun anymore. Like, haunted house stories are fun because it's like, sometimes you can't tell if it's real or not, and that's what most of the book is. But this went like a weird, I don't want to say cult, because normally I like cult stories, but it just got weird. Like, it got weird in not a good way for a ghost story. This isn't really what I signed up to read. So then I skimmed the end, and it's like, the end is bonkers. And I was like, I made the right choice. I made the right choice. If I had finished this book, it would have gotten like a 1 or 2 star. So I'm actually really glad I DNF'd it, especially on such a small book. I did not want to be a person just like tanking it, because I think it's got like a 3.7 or 3.8 or something on Goodreads. And yeah, there was no way. I knew 50%. I was like, this is not gonna go well for me. So I definitely DNF'd that one, which was sad. But again, it is feedback. Like, that's the thing. I do DNF NetGalleys. A lot of people, or ARCs. I DNF ARCs. But I do leave like a review. I don't star them on Goodreads. Sometimes I don't even post them over there. Like, I don't know if I sent the actual review over there. I think I just kept it on NetGalley. Can give them a review and why I DNF'd it and possibly why other people are DNFing it. So I count it as reviewing. This is kind of how I feel about it. A lot of people will disagree. That's fine. Yeah, that was the second one. The one that I just finished this morning, and I didn't have, I was mid-level with this one. It's the new Stacey Willingham, If Only We Were Lucky, something like that. And wowzers, that was a 1 star. That was a 1 star. Pretty sure I gave like her first book 5 stars, and then I gave the next one like 2.5 or 3. And this one's a 1 star. So we are trending down. We are trending down. This is the most generic it girl mystery thriller I have ever read. Most of the story I was like thinking Ruth Ware did it better. Literal the it girl. Cause I like that book. I know like it has mixed reviews, but the whole time I was just like Ruth Ware did it better. I did not like anything about this book. Like, it's definitely compulsively readable, and I ended up getting it through Everand Scribd for my audiobook, so I was able to listen to it while I was doing like taking the dog for a walk, and I had a bunch of errands I was running yesterday. But it was boring. Like, that was like that's like the kiss of death to me for thriller and mysteries. Like, fantasies can be boring throughout the book, but have like these intricate magic systems and still have like interesting endings and stuff like that. I feel like if a mystery thriller is boring, it's not good. We're following our main character. What is it? Is it Maddie? I don't remember. I literally just read this. We're following our main character, who is currently dealing with the murder of a fraternity boy next door who she knew in the past, and the disappearance of her roommate. And there's some connection between all 3 of them and her other roommates. And that's the whole point of the book, is you're trying to figure out what happened, the disappearance and the death of the kid next door. That's kind of the overarching thing. But you also learn that our main character also had a death of a best friend from right after high school, between high school and going to college, that little awkward summer that everybody has, that they're trying to like say goodbye to friends and stuff like that. Her best friend ever died, and there's some connection between her and the boy who died at the college current day. There's kind of just like this intricate thing of you trying to figure out who is who, what happened, etc. The main plot of the story, though, is our main character super sad about her friend dying the year previously. Her basically deciding that she wants to become someone new, and she befriends this it girl group, especially like the it girl on campus. And it's kind of just the story about her becoming friends with them and her reminiscing on the past and her being certain that what happened to her friend was because of this boy. And that's kind of like what the story is really. Like, it's just boring. And then the ending like was super predictable. There was a little bit of it that I was like, oh, okay, I didn't see that coming. But most of it was very predictable. The way that our main character was acting, the way that she was talking about the past, and it was just like, I've seen this 1,000 times. I've seen this 1,000 times. I was so disappointed about that. I was so disappointed that there wasn't something more that was going on, because about 20% into the book I was like, I don't think I'm gonna like this. I don't think I'm gonna like this. But with thriller and mysteries, I don't like DNFing, because sometimes like the end really can like really wow you, and this one wasn't. And actually, for that matter, really didn't like the ending. I really didn't like multiple things that happen at the end, and that's kind of what pushes you into 1-star territory. If I don't like a book, it's probably a 2. if I don't like if I really don't like something that happened, that's when you get into 1-star territory. Because 1 stars I remember, 2 stars I'm generally probably gonna forget about. I'm gonna remember the end of this one because I really don't like what they did. I feel like they tore apart some characters and they kind of just like, I don't know, it feels like they ruined some things that were nice in the book and made everything terrible, like literally everything terrible. And yeah, I just really wasn't a fan of this one. So you might hear the fan on my computer because I'm using my backup gaming laptop because I don't have my Mac, which has all of my actual stuff on it. And this thing is loud. This thing is so loud. I hope it's not too loud while I'm going over this. So I need to pick 3 more books. I've been going by published date. Yeah, so the Scarlet Veil, I feel so, oh, it looks spooky. Looks spooky. The Scarlet Veil is published on September 2023, but I'm so behind. So I am up to January, which is really exciting. So that's fantastic. I have 1, 2, 3 from January. I have 2 from February. I got a lot in March. I got a lot in March. Although I don't feel as bad not doing Empire of the Damned because it's just a sample. So I'm kind of like whatever on that one. I'll get to that one when I get to that one. Kind of like how I'll get to, oh, it's dinging at me. What's happening? Just like the Scarlet Veil, I kind of get to that one as I get to it. So I think I was checking my Libby stuff because again, I want to try and clear as early as possible. So the January books are A Fragile Enchantment, The House of Last Resort, and The Invocations. So A Fragile Enchantment, I download, see, that's the thing. A lot of these are so old, they've been archived, which is not great for me. So A Fragile Enchantment archived on February 13th, but luckily I did have it downloaded, so I do have it on my Kindle. The bad part is I own a lot of these books physically now because if I'm really excited about them, I'm gonna buy them physically to support the authors. So anyway, I have A Fragile Enchantment. I have like 3 copies of A Fragile Enchantment because of book boxes, but I'm moving. I don't have any of my stuff. It's all packed away. So that's why I have to rely on having had downloaded them, or I had them on Libby. But A Fragile Enchantment I have downloaded, so we can read that one. The House of Last Resort I did not download. I don't know what I was doing. I didn't download it. I don't have a physical copy of this one either. So I requested it on Libby. Hopefully I'll get it in a few weeks. So we'll probably skip over that one for the next update. The Invocations I'm very torn on because the Invocations I have such a high expectation for. And I really wanted to read that one physically because I have a really cool, the Everand copy of it. But I also don't, I really want to read the January books. So I'm kind of torn on that one. We'll see. If I'm not enjoying reading it on the Kindle, then I'll pause to make sure it's not a Kindle problem. But I think we'll see. I feel like I'm only going to request graphic novels from NetGalley anymore because I am having almost no luck with everything else. I feel like I'm not enjoying a single book. There is one in here. There is one in here in the second update. There is hope. There is hope. But everything else was just so bleh. It was so bleh. And I don't know, again, I don't know if I'm just in a weird mood, reading mood, but I'm not. Because one of these books we're about to talk about is a brand new 5-star. And it's probably out of all 4 books that I read, it is the least suspecting of a 5-star I've ever seen. So it can't be that I don't enjoy reading anymore. It has to be that I just don't like the new books that are coming out, maybe. I don't know, but I feel like anytime I pick up a newer book, I'm not really liking it. And I had a whole video talking about that if you want to go check it out. But it's continuing. It's continuing. And I don't know what to do. I feel so weird about reading right now because I feel like I should have a book that I am screaming at the top of my lungs to people about. And I can't think of one off the top of my head. I should be able to think of one right off the top of my head. And I can't think of one from 2024 that I would tell people, oh my gosh, you have to read it immediately. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. Anyway, let's just get into it. Let's get into it. I want to talk about these next 4 because it's been quite a while since I wrapped up this little second part. Basically gonna tag this part 1 because I have a ton of other stuff that I need to read before I get back to catching up on NetGalley. So yeah, it's an interesting 4 books. I ended up reading The Inmate by Frida McFadden. 2-star. Nothing happened in this. Nothing happened. Like, I'm so confused because I feel like, I don't even know how to describe this. Our main character is a nurse practitioner, and she is coming back to her hometown because she was not gifted. She was given a house, I think, in the will? Was that it? I don't remember. It's been a really long time since I read this one. And she has to come back to town. She has a son, and you find out that she was the survivor of this murdering spree that killed all of her friends except for one, and she comes back and she reconnects with this friend, but she also reconnects with the guy she was dating, who is the one who went to prison for the murders, and it's because she ID'd him. And so it's the story of her trying to figure out what to do with her life because she's having a hard time finding jobs. She wants to reconnect with people that she missed out on in the past, and she's trying to understand like her parents' motivation. So there's a lot of stuff going on there. But with the general story, I actually really, okay, I don't feel like a lot happened, but I really liked it until the last 20%, where it was like a ton of stuff happened that was super obvious and was not a lot of fun to read about. I really wanted her to go a completely different direction. I really wanted like a housemaid situation where I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy, this is wild, but I could have guessed it. That's the thing. I want to be able to guess it, but not that I actually 100% from the beginning was like, oh, this is super obvious. That's kind of what happened in this book, and then I really hated the twist, because she always has this like last chapter that like explains something that happened that wasn't really explained or that's going on behind the scenes, and that's like the big twist. I hated it. I hated that last big twist. I thought it was stupid. I was just so annoyed with it because I remember thinking in my head, I'm like, okay, this is what happened. There's no way that that is the twist. And then it was the twist. I was like, that's dumb. So I really don't have that much about to say about it. It was another Frida McFadden that I just felt was rushed out, pushed out with not a lot of thought to it, because she writes like 4 books a year, and it was just, it could have been so much better if time had been taken on this book or on any of her books, really. Because now this is the second non-housemaid book that I've read that I did not like. I did not like The Coworker. So I'm thinking maybe I should just stick to the housemaid books. That's kind of where I'm at. But I don't know. I'll probably give one more shot to one of her other books. And if I don't like that, then I'll just stick to the housemaid series. Okay, the next one that I read is the 5-star book. And it's a horror book. It's a horror book. And I shocked myself about how much I love this book. It is The Haunting of Velkwood by Gwendolyn Kist. I would say Kist or Kiste. I think it's Kist. It was so good. It was so good. To me, this was like the perfect ghost town haunting story. It had everything that I loved. It didn't try to jump scare you. It didn't try to do anything just like ridiculous. It had more of a, it's not for like extreme horror fans. That's not the type of horror this is. The type of horror this is like grief horror and moving on horror and dealing with your past trauma. It's like trauma horror, and ghosts playing a huge part in that trauma. And it was so good. It had a very creepy feeling to it. It had a almost found footagey feeling to it, which I really, really liked. That's incredibly difficult to do in books. It's obviously significantly easier to do it on TV and movies because you can show found footage. This felt so found footagey to me, and I was obsessed with it. So this is following our main character, who, her and 2 other friends, I think, left town one night, and when they came back, literally everyone was gone, and no one could enter this like no-go space. So it's kind of like an Area for 51 kind of situation thing where no one's even allowed near the site. But even if you are near the site, you can't go on it. Like, the area physically does not let you go on it. And I thought that was so cool. And you're trying to unravel that mystery. So she joins forces with this film crew and this group of scientists, and they're trying to figure out what's going on in this space and see if there's anyone that's been left, because it turns out she has, none of this is spoilers, her whole family went missing, everyone's family went missing. So she wants to go see if she can find her sister, and maybe everyone's still living behind this like wall that no one can get past. And so the story is her being able to cross the line because she's from this place, and it's what happens from when she crosses the line and on. And it turns out to be this like super emotional, amazing book about like discovering yourself and finding romance in dark places. And it was so good. It was so good. And it's not very long. Like, it definitely is like to the point, like, this is what's happening, this is what we need to do. And it was just really, really good. Don't expect a scary story. It's definitely family horror and loss and stuff like that kind of horror. It's not your jump scary horror. It's creepy horror, like sense of dread. There you go. Sense of dread horror is the type of horror this is. But I loved it. It was so, so good. It was definitely my win, I feel like, of the whole video. Which I feel like wasn't hard compared to the ratings of the other things, especially the next two things that I'm going to be talking about. Next book that I read is The House of Last Resort. This is another horror book, and I was really excited about this one. This is supposed to be another ghost story, but more on the haunted side, like demon possession kind of thing of a house. It was so boring. It was so boring. And this was definitely written by a man. Christopher Golden. Women don't really sleep in thongs, and if they do, it's rare. And if they are getting up in the middle of the night to look at a sound, they're gonna put pants on, okay? They're not gonna be walking around in their underwear, feeling exposed when they're trying to go figure out what a sound is in the house. That drove me nuts. That drove me absolutely nuts. I actually went and looked at some reviews of this because this has a very low rating, and a lot of other people commented about that, like, what are you doing? Why are you writing your main female lead this way? It's so unbelievable. So don't do that. Don't, like, for future writers, if you are a male identifying person and you want to write a female lead character, write pants. Even a dress. I'll take a dress. I'll take a skirt, something. But if you write her in underwear in stupid points of the book, because Alien is one of my favorite movies, I still cannot forgive them for having her walk around in her underwear for like the back half of the movie. I'm still mad about that, and I love that movie. But don't do it. It's never a good idea. People don't like it. It's not fun. It's just stupid. So don't do that. Also, otherwise, it's just kind of boring. It's just kind of boring. The characters are a bit pretentious. It was following our main characters, who are a couple who are moving to Italy to start a new life. Like, this little area is giving grants or something like that, so you can come move there for free or close to free, and they basically want to start businesses. This little town is kind of dying, so they're trying to get people to start businesses and stuff like that. And then you find out there's like, their house is called the House of Last Resort, and it goes from there. Good. I give it a 1 star. I give it a 1 star. If it was any longer, I would have DNF'd it. But because it was so short and I was able to find the audiobook, I just listened to it in a single day while playing Pikmin. So I was like, okay, maybe the ending is better. I cannot actually tell you what happened at the ending. It was so confusing. I cannot tell you what actually happened, which I feel like is also a mark of a not very good book. So I would definitely pass on this one. If you're looking at this one, again, this is the catch-up version of this. That's the problem. Like, none of these are coming out. They're already out. But if you're looking at it, don't pick this one up. There are so many better horror books out there, demon possession stories out there. This one is absolutely atrocious. And the last one that I read for this video, this one hurts. This one hurts a lot. I have 3 copies of this effing book. I have 3 copies. I think 1 from Fairy Loot, 1 from Owlcrate, and 1 I was sent by the publisher. A Fragile Enchantment. I gave it 2 stars. It was one of my like more anticipated books of the year. I hated it. I didn't hate it. I just thought it was so poorly done. I thought it was so boring. It was like a conglomeration of like 4 different romance fantasy books. It was just basically a fantasy ripoff of Bridgerton, but done poorly. The main male character was supposed to be like broody and you're supposed to like be attracted to him, but he was literally just like a annoying like 10-year-old boy is how he acted, and I could not stand his character. The best friend was the best character in this. Our main character had no personality, was super frustrating. It's basically following our main character, who is a magical seamstress, and she's from a group of people that's looked down upon by the royals, but it's like, and I don't understand. I was having a hard time grasping like the world in this one as well, because it was very confusing exactly what the backstory was, because it was randomly brought up as like grudges, but you didn't feel why people hated each other because you didn't actually have like a full story on exactly what happened in this like war between these two people, that one people got pushed out and the other ones became royalty. And I literally can't explain it to you. So she gets invited to court because she has powers. Her group of people have like random powers, and she's invited to be the seamstress of the royal wedding between this guy, who's obviously the romance, and this woman from another country, over to strengthen bonds and stuff like that. Obviously romance ensues between the two of them, but it's just a bunch of running around the castle doing nothing. And there's literally a whistle down character. Is that her name from Bridgerton? Whoever the person who does the pamphlets in Bridgerton, there's literally the same character in this book. Literally the same thing. And there's no disguising it. There's no, it's literally a gossip column, and they try to get involved in things and they know everything. And it's just like, you didn't even try to disguise it. You literally ripped off a whole idea that the Bridgerton series is like based around. Like the entire like 9-book, 10-book series of Bridgerton is like based around these pamphlets. So it was weird. It was, I could not get into this book. The writing was poor. The character development was poor. Everything was poor. And it gets it too, because I don't hate it. I just don't think it was good, but I still finished the book. And if I don't like a young adult fantasy book, I tend to just DNF it. So the fact that I finished it and was able to get through it, I'm gonna give it a 2, but it's not a very high 2. And I don't hate it, so it's not gonna go on my like least favorites of the year kind of video, but it was just not good. It was not good. Anyway, that was my little update. I figured I would just do this quick video instead of with a ton of books in it, instead of trying to like do a huge review on each one. I thought this was a lot better, and I was able to clear out quite a lot of my NetGalley shelf, which was amazing. So I think where I'm at is one from January 30th, the Invocations. I have 2 from February, and then March. So I've gotten a lot better. I cleared everything out from 2023 except for the Scarlet Veil. Still haven't touched that whole series. But everything else is caught up to March basically. So the Invocations, ASAP, and Education and Malice will all be in part 2. And yeah, I don't know. I don't have high hopes for like any of this. I don't have high hopes for anything that I'm about to read when it comes from NetGalley. But then I liked Haunting of Velkwood, so I don't know. There was like a glimmer of hope in this video. I just cannot believe how mediocre I felt about most of these books. It's weird. I feel weird about it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, even though it was kind of depressing. I had a semi-good time. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, so you don't miss any future content. There should be a lot coming out for May and June is the hope. Make sure you like the video if you enjoyed it, and make sure you leave a comment down below if you read any of those books and you enjoyed them, or if you've just read anything in 2024, brand new releases, and you like them, or what you think about 2024 releases you've read so far. If you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.